What is the worst movie you've ever seen? No, I'm not talking about Transformers 2 or Grown Ups 2. I mean a movie so bad, so fundamentally broken, that it leaves a pit in your stomach or makes you feel frustrated and angry beyond any reasonable measure. This is a question I've been asking myself for a while, and I think it's about time to do something about it. So I've pulled up the list of the bottom 100 lowest rated movies on IMDb, and I'm going through them one by one to find the worst movie ever. Welcome to the search for the worst. "2001's Druids is a fucking weird-ass movie. I sat there stunned for 2 hours, desperately searching for something, for anything to grasp onto. I literally had no idea what was happening the entire time.
You will find it interesting.
So let me try and attempt to explain what the hell was going on in this movie. So it opens with this shot of a comet flying through space, okay, simple enough. We then see a group of druids shambling around a rock formation and chanting about how a new king is going to stop a great wheel from crushing them. Alright.
The wheel of destiny threatens to crush us beneath it.
So right off the bat I notice a couple of things. A couple of awful things. So apparently this movie was filmed in both English and French at the same time, which leads to these scenes that have just tons of dubbing.
The coming of a king. We no longer have kings in Gaul. Perhaps then the Romans. But they have no king either.
I'm not really sure why they had to dub everything if they filmed it in both languages, but it ends up being really distracting because just about nothing fits anyone's mouth movements.
Dumnorix. He stormed into our camp. He massacred our soldiers and then fled.
Sometimes they don't even bother to open their mouths at all. But when they do bother, the mouth movements are in sync with the English for a little bit, but then about halfway through they forget what they were saying and just sort of fish-mouth their way through the entire scene.
That's not what they want from you. I beg you, don't tell them such a thing. Listen to them. What they all want now is a final battle. Listen to them. What they all want now is a final battle.
Anyway, so we're introduced to our main character. I would say his name, but I have no idea what it is. So for now, let's just call him Forehead. You'll understand why in a little bit. So these god-awful child actors try to establish this weird romance subplot, but it comes off as totally creepy. And in one scene, the girl sounds like she's going to cry.
You give him your trust just like that? He pleased me. You please me too.
We're then shown a sleeping old man. Oh, Jesus, is that Max von Sydow? What the hell's he doing in this weird-ass movie? You know, the funny thing is, I was taking notes every time Max appeared on screen. In total, he's in about 7 scenes, making up approximately 3 minutes of screen time. Sometimes even going as long as 30 minutes before seeing him again. So we then see this bizarre scene where these blokes are just sort of talking about politics or something, and then Forehead's dad gets shot by an arrow for some reason. Forehead then claims he's going to kill this guy because he burnt his dad alive for some reason. He doesn't even make a sound while he's painfully burning to death either. He just sort of sits there and accepts it. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Nothing makes any fucking sense. Every explanation for why something is happening will be followed by, for some reason. Supposedly this film is loosely based off real events and people, but this film is more confusing than your first viewing of Donnie Darko. So then we transition to Forehead when he's grown into his mid-30s or something. Do you understand why I call him Forehead now? And, oh my god, look at that wig. Seriously, the wigs in this movie are atrocious, and beyond that, they aren't half bloody distracting. It's probably why I have no idea what's happening, because all these crazy-ass wigs get in the way of their acting.
Yes.
So then this druid lady has this weird training fight scene with Forehead, and the dialogue makes no sense whatsoever.
To be one with your sword, you must empty yourself of all desire.
Then while Max is talking to Forehead, he tells him to kick him in the ass.
Kick me in the ass. What?
And then he's out of the movie for the next 30 minutes. Wait a second, look at that guy. That is the most pathetic stone carver dude I have ever seen. This extra obviously had no idea what he was doing, so he's just pretending to hit a large stone for some reason. Then we move on to this scene where all these hairy guys with stupid wigs keep saying that they all want to get the booty. Like pirates' booty sort of thing, I think. Well, I hope so.
Half of the booty! Can you believe it?
And half the booty is yours.
Yeah!
He offers us half the booty.
Just listen to the weirdly dubbed crowd.
You are welcome among us.
They do this shit throughout the entire thing, just dubbing the crowd because no one originally said anything. Later on it gets so bad that people just start screaming what they're supposed to be doing in the scene, because why not, I guess.
We are preparing the room for the Bellovac princess.
So Forehead starts chatting to Julius Caesar about some bollocks. And apart from looking like a Neanderthal, we notice that he has no idea how to speak.
For Caius Julius Caesar, proconsul of Transylvania.
He is constantly changing his voice. It has no consistency at all. At one point he even speaks like he's American for some reason.
People of Gaul! Let us be what we must be. A free and united people.
But anyway, oh hey, look at that fly on this shirt, that's pretty distracting. So all these blokes just sort of stand around and talk about doing something, and then they go into the woods, and then these cheeky hiding Romans throw a rock at some guy who we don't know, and then he dies. Forehead is pretty mad about this, so he kills one of the Romans, cuts his hand off and sends it to Caesar. Calm down, Forehead, he only threw a rock at the guy. Fucking twat. Let's talk about Caesar in this movie. He does nothing. He just sits around talking about how important Forehead is, but how he's still going to beat him anyway. He has all this floaty, supposed to be well-written political dialogue that is trying to make you think he's smart or something, but no one in this movie knows what's going on. Seriously, no one knows what they're saying, so they speak in this confused way that makes them sound like they're retarded.
Your incomprehensible talking does not help me.
We then move on to this scene where Forehead and company try to break into this fort place. For some reason. Everything in this movie just sort of happens. There is no pacing, the editing does nothing to help you understand what's going on, and everyone just looks confused or angry all of the time. So Lady Druid distracts a guard by flashing him, and then smacks him in the dick. At this point I started to notice the very, very strange soundtrack this movie has. It sounds like the noise a nightclub makes when you're standing outside it. This sort of weird music stays consistently baffling like this right up until the end. So then they fight their way into the fort thing, and then just watch how this scene ends. It just cuts to daytime, and they're just walking around. How in God's name are we supposed to understand what's happening in this fucking movie? Forehead has a little speech, then hilariously and angrily pushes his way through a group of people. Because he's a dick. Then, I guess because of the fort attack or some shit, Caesar commands his men to burn everyone alive. For some reason. Wait a second. Stop that. Did that guy miss? Look, he tried to stab the wood with his knife, but he missed and they still used the take. Are you fucking kidding me, movie? So this guy who has no confidence proposes that Caesar should attack.
Vercingetorix is surrounded. He doesn't dare show himself. Let's attack.
Then he just backs away and the scene ends. Fuck this movie. The Romans are about to attack the fort, but then chickens and fish are thrown over the wall and it makes them kind of retreat because they were hungry, I guess, or something. Then, to keep them distracted, all these ladies take off their shirts and the Romans try to make a human pyramid to get up the wall to the women. Forehead then attacks them. Look how his horse runs. Fuck this movie. So we have another weird battle scene where the music doesn't fit and the people who are supposed to be dead are clearly still moving around and have no idea what's happening. Kinda like the people who are trying to watch the movie like me. So because they won the fight, they all cut their arms with a knife for some reason. Then they have a food fight. Love interest appears again and repeats a line she said at the beginning of the movie when she was a little girl, as if it's supposed to mean something.
When I was asked by the boy.
And now?
Then Forehead lies down like he's Kate Blanchett from Titanic. Fuck this movie. This is 1 hour and 10 minutes into the movie, and I have no idea what's going on. So some guys get attacked and he makes the most pathetic noise as he falls off his horse. And another guy who's supposed to be dead lies there with his eyes clearly moving. So now the movie spends about 30 minutes leading up to the final battle, and spends about 5 of those minutes reusing the same shot of soldiers walking to imply that there are loads of them. Fuck this movie. There's some more unfitting music and a guy forgets his line halfway through saying it.
But our spies can't really find out what they are really here for.
But they still use the take. Then Forehead's men vote for something with balls. And Forehead tries to talk to his lady friend, but his hair moves so much that you have no choice but to focus on that instead of the dialogue. Who am I kidding? None of this matters. None of it. Forehead then tells his men to not attack early.
Do not attack. What? Do not attack.
Then they attack early and everyone dies. Even the druid lady we really care about dies because she accidentally wandered into the scene. Then they try to bookend the movie with a bunch of weird speeches that make no sense, and still, no one knows what's going on.
So the great wheel of destiny will follow its course, eternally moved by love, as far as necessity demands.
Forehead then visits Caesar, walks around his tent on a horse for some reason, then surrenders. And that's Druids. Fucking hell, what a movie to start this shit off with. I guess it was supposed to be a story of redemption for Forehead's father being burnt alive. At least that's what he keeps saying.
Let's go to avenge the death of your father.
But then he gives up and there's some sort of text explaining what happens to them later in their life. You know what? This isn't even a movie. This is just a bunch of sequences and images strung together loosely with just wigs and hairy people and weird facial expressions from Forehead. This is the worst piece of shit I've seen in a long time, and to tell you the truth, I was kind of enjoying it in that sort of bad movie way up until around the hour mark. Then I just got tired and physically repulsed by all the wigs. The thing that kind of redeems this movie is how everyone apart from Max is playing it super seriously, as if they were in something that matters, when in fact they're in a movie with a 2.6 on IMDb and number 100 on the 100 worst films ever list. I guess this is usually the part where I would compare this film's awfulness to the other films from the other 100 list, but seeing as this is the first video I've made of this type, I can't really do that. But basically, fuck this movie.